Volume 1 of Season 5 delivered some unforgettable moments, scenes we'll be talking about for years, but when it comes to actual plot progression, it raised way more questions than it answered. So in today's video, we're breaking down all the biggest unanswered mysteries that need to be resolved in the upcoming volumes. We start this list with a question that I was sure would be addressed in the first volume, especially because of an interview released just a few days before Season 5. The question that's still on everyone's lips is, who unlocked Will's door in Season 1? This is one of the pivotal moments of the entire show, and we still haven't gotten an explanation after all this time. The biggest theory was that Vecna was the one who unlocked the door. He controlled the Demogorgon and used his telekinetic powers to open the door and allow Will to be captured. But the Duffer interview completely dismantled this theory because they said it wasn't Vecna who opened the door, and that Demogorgons don't have telekinetic powers at all. After that revelation, another major theory exploded in the fandom. The person who opened the door was 11. This ties into another lingering Season 1 question. How did Elle recognize Will in the photo? If 11 was the one who opened the door, suddenly everything clicks into place. Here's how the theory goes. The Byers home is the closest house to the lab. On the night Will was taken, the Demogorgon was actually chasing 11 in the woods, but it lost track of her and ended up encountering Will instead. And then it followed him. Watching from afar, 11 wanted to help Will, so she opened the door to try and meet him. But unfortunately, seeing his front door unlatching on its own only scared Will even more, so he ran straight into the backyard shack, right into the Demogorgon. The Duffer Brothers promised us an answer, and I'm genuinely curious what it will be, especially because it connects to another huge Season 1 mystery. Why was Will kidnapped? And now, after seeing how Volume 1 ended, this question is even more intriguing. Did Vecna kidnap Will because he was special? Did that tube Vecna attached to him give Will his powers? As amazed as I was by the last 20 minutes of Volume 1, I'm equally fascinated by the answers behind these questions. Was Will specifically targeted by Vecna, or was he just in the wrong place at the wrong time? What do you think? Maybe part of this was addressed in Vecna's speech to Will, where he told him that he breaks easily, and that this is why Vecna specifically targeted those 12 children, because they were weak, both in mind and body. But is Will one of those 12 children or not? I swear this left all of us wondering. And if you have an answer, please share it in the comments. Why did Vecna need 12 children? And what exactly is his real plan? Professor Clark had a class in Volume 1 about wormholes, which are hypothetical tunnels through space and time. They're usually visualized as a kind of bridge. And Episode 7 of Season 5 is literally titled The Bridge. This made a lot of people speculate that the reason Vecna needs 12 children is because he wants to create a wormhole and go back in time to rewrite everything. To be honest, I really hope this doesn't happen. I've never been a fan of the time travel angle. It would also try to turn Vecna into a victim instead of a villain, and giving him a time travel motive would humanize him in a way that feels unnecessary. There are some solid theories supporting this idea, especially since Noah Schnapp said Vecna is the most misunderstood villain. But personally, I hope this isn't the direction they take. We don't need a redemption arc for Henry. We need Vecna to be as evil as he can possibly be. But maybe that's just me. I'm curious to know your thoughts. Do you want Henry to redeem himself and help fight the Mind Flayer? Or do you want Vecna to stay a full-on villain? Because honestly, Vecna's actions make absolutely no sense to me right now, and I could see this going either way. I've always thought the reason Vecna couldn't return to the real world was either because he didn't have a host, since his real body was disintegrated by 11, and that's why he kidnapped Will, to mold him into the perfect host, or because his power was too great to pass through a normal portal. Maybe he needed a massive gateway, and that's why he required 4 victims, to open 4 portals that would merge into one megaportal. But regardless of the explanation, the fact is simple. Vecna returned to the real world, used his powers without any limitations, and then he just left. Just like that. After all the build-up, all the years of scheming, his big return lasted mere moments. He slipped back into the Upside Down like nothing happened. It left me genuinely confused and really made me question his actual endgame. Another question I had while watching Season 5 was, where are the other kids Vecna kidnapped, and why aren't they in Henry's mind world with Holly and Max? After Will saw that place through the Demogorgon vision, we learned that Vecna had already kidnapped 4 kids. Holly, and 3 others. But those 3 aren't with her. Why is that? Where could they be? Henry promised Holly that he would bring all her friends to that house and protect them from the monsters. So wouldn't it make sense for the other 2 kids to be there as well? There are way too many unanswered questions surrounding this, and the Duffer Brothers really do have a lot of explaining to do. It's honestly amazing that we've had 1.5 seasons with Vecna, and yet we still don't truly know anything about him. What is his real goal? What is his plan to achieve that goal? We don't know anything for sure, we can only speculate. Even the things we thought we knew apparently aren't as canon as we once believed. 2 big questions about Henry came up after Volume 1. Why was he afraid to chase Max into the caves? And why did he have high school memories with Joyce? Even though I've responded to both of these questions in other videos, the truth is we never got a canon answer. We've only been speculating based on auxiliary material. If you're only a show watcher, Henry's memories make absolutely no sense, because the show revealed that he was taken as a test subject when he was a little kid, right after he killed his family. Based on that, we all assumed he spent his entire life in the lab. But apparently there's more to his backstory than we realized. If you want the most probable explanation for those 2 questions, I'll link one of my videos below that breaks down exactly why Henry was so scared of entering the cave. And if it wasn't enough that we didn't get any answers about Henry, we also didn't get any answers about the Upside Down itself. What exactly is the Upside Down? And what's the difference between Dimension X and the Upside Down? And more importantly, why is the Upside Down frozen in time after November 6th? I think the answers to those questions are the key to the entire series, and maybe even the key to understanding why Will was kidnapped in the first place. As you might know, one of the most popular theories is that Will was targeted by Vecna because of his imagination and his creative power, and that Will actually shaped the Upside Down to look like Hawkins. This would explain why the Upside Down is stuck on November 6th, the day Will disappeared, because Will created an exact replica of Hawkins based on his memories up to that point. Another big question that came up after Volume 1 about the Upside Down is, what's with that wall? I think the wall has always been there. Our protagonists simply never explored the Upside Down as deeply in the earlier seasons, because they had no reason to. And honestly, with how massive it is surrounding all of Hawkins, it doesn't seem like something that could have been built in just 1 year. No matter what, the question remains, what is the wall and what's behind it? Is this some kind of Game of Thrones type situation with Vecna and his army behind the wall? Because the military team didn't encounter a single creature in the Upside Down. The first time they saw Demogorgons was during their 30th crawl. And these are just the big questions. There are plenty more that need to be addressed if this show wants to come full circle. But honestly, I don't think the Duffers will be able to answer all of them. Some answers might show up in comics, books, or other auxiliary material. Still, I want to list a few more questions that I'm really curious about. For example, who is the real villain of the story? Is it Vecna? Is it the Mind Flayer controlling Vecna? Or is it someone we haven't met yet? Maybe even a dragon? And speaking of dragons, what was with that giant egg from Season 1? At first I thought this was how Demogorgons were born, but Season 2 proved that Demogorgons come from Demodog larvae and don't have an egg phase. So what's the deal with that egg? Another thing I'm curious about, how did Collie escape from the lab? Season 5 Volumes 2 and 3 are going to be really interesting as they try to answer all of these questions. But if I'm being honest, I don't think we'll get answers to everything. And that's part of what makes a show great. All the theories, all the speculation, all the discussion, that's what keeps the story alive. Let me know in the comments if you have any unanswered questions, or if you know more about this topic and can help a fellow viewer out by answering one of theirs. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.